If you're anything like me, you probably feel like you're constantly wading through just a tsunami of information about cyber threats. It's overwhelming trying to keep up.
It really is.
But what if there was a real shortcut to being truly well-informed, to grasp not just the headlines, but the cutting edge of what's actually happening in cybersecurity?
Yeah, with some genuinely surprising insights.
Exactly. That's our mission today. We're taking a deep dive into the CrowdStrike 2025 Threat Hunting Report. We're going to unpack the most important nuggets, really, from this report. It details the evolving landscape of threats and the innovative ways defenders are trying to stay ahead.
That's right. And this report, it paints a really compelling picture of a new breed of threat actor, what they've actually coined the enterprising adversaries.
Enterprising adversary.
Yes. So our goal is to explore what makes them so formidable, how they're leveraging new tech like AI, and crucially, what this all means for organizations, maybe like yours, trying to protect their digital assets. It's about understanding not just what they're doing, but, why it fundamentally matters. The implications for defense are pretty profound.
And trust me, you're in for some eye-opening stuff. We'll dive into specific, almost unbelievable case studies, names like famous Chalima, Scatter, and Spider, and understand these critical new battlegrounds in cybersecurity, from the cloud to, well, your own identity. Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
So, okay, let's start by defining this enterprising adversary. When you say they operate with business-like efficiency, what does that actually look like? I mean, are we talking departments, R&D, maybe even some twisted kind of HR?
Well, that's actually a pretty good way to put it. What sets them apart isn't just their technical skill, though they have that.
Yeah.
It's their sophistication and scalability.
Okay.
They don't just stumble into systems. They execute attacks with calculated, almost corporate efficiency, strategic precision. Their goal is always maximizing impact, achieving their objectives quickly, whether that's money, espionage, or even disruption. Think less lone wolf hacker.
Right.
And more like a well-funded, highly organized criminal enterprise, or even a state-sponsored unit with, clear KPIs.
Wow. Okay, so it's almost like they've scaled up the dark side of the digital economy.
Right.
And that makes them incredibly dangerous because they're operating beyond kind of the scope of traditional IT threats.
Precisely. They are incredibly adept at bypassing traditional cybersecurity defenses. They understand the limits of conventional safeguards.
They know where the weak spots are.
Exactly. And they actively seek out weaknesses that established systems often overlook. This includes exploiting human factors, social engineering.
Always the humans.
Always. And now it's often enhanced by AI. And critically, they move to unmanaged devices. These are significant blind spots outside IT's direct view, rogue IoT things, unpatched gear, shadow IT.
And the stuff nobody's really watching.
Exactly. They use those to get footholds, steal data, launch further attacks, all without immediate detection.
Okay, so when I first saw these numbers from just the first half of 2025, my jaw almost hit the floor. Cloud intrusions, for instance, up 136% compared to all of 2024.
Yeah, it's staggering.
Think about that. Half a year, more than double the intrusions. That's basically a flashing red light. If your cloud defenses aren't top priority right now, you're kind of fighting yesterday's war.
Absolutely. The battle's moved.
And voice phishing, vishing, attacks, they've already surpassed the total seen in all of 2024. And that's after a huge 442% jump between the first and second half of last year.
The trend is just accelerating.
It reminds me of those old con artist movies, sweet-talking their way in, except now they might have an AI scriptwriter making them sound like your best friend. It's almost impressive if it wasn't so terrifying.
It's a profound shift, and what's also critical to note here is that 81% of interactive intrusions were malware-free.
Wow. So it's not about a virus spreading.
Not primarily, no. It highlights this dramatic trend towards more hands-on human-operated attacks. We also saw interactive intrusions, that's hands-on keyboard, increased 27% year over year.
Okay.
And e-crime activity made up a huge chunk of that 73% of total interactive intrusions.
So the human element is key, both attacking and defending.
Paramount. It means the old spray and pray malware methods are being replaced by highly targeted, stealthy operations.
That 81% malware-free stat,
Right.
That feels like a game changer. It almost suggests focusing purely on signature-based detection is, well, kind of becoming obsolete,
It
Ron.
definitely shifts the defensive paradigm.
So what does this mean for how we build our defenses? And can you walk us through the typical stages of one of these interactive intrusions?
Absolutely. Since it's not always code doing the work, human manual intervention is key. An interactive intrusion usually starts with manual intervention. Attackers actively navigating the network, like a burglar casing a house, but from the inside. Then they establish persistence. They want to maintain long-term access, often using advanced techniques to evade detection, make sure they can come back later.
Right, leave a back door open.
Pretty much. From there, they engage in lateral movement across the network, identifying, compromising additional systems, basically mapping out your digital floor plan.
Finding the valuable stuff.
Exactly. The ultimate goal is often data exfiltration, stealing sensitive data, IP, credentials. And throughout this, there's significant customization. Attackers tailor their techniques to the specific environment, the defenses of that particular target. It's this human operator adapting in real time that makes them so challenging to stop with just automated tools.
So with these sophisticated human-driven attacks clearly on the rise, what does this mean for who gets targeted? I imagine certain industries are feeling the heat more than others.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. And the report makes it clear the technology sector, maybe not surprisingly, stayed at the very top for the 8th consecutive year. Why? Why does tech just keep getting hammered?
Well, the tech sector is kind of uniquely positioned. It's a high-value target for both nation-states and e-crime actors because it's so interconnected with everyone else.
Right, the supply chain aspect.
Exactly. If you compromise a tech company, you potentially gain access to a huge array of their downstream customers, or you get valuable intellectual property. Compromising one tech company isn't just one win, it's potentially a skeleton key to hundreds of other organizations.
A force multiplier for the attackers.
Precisely.
Beyond tech, what other sectors saw big jumps, especially from nation-state activity?
The government sector saw a substantial 71% increase in overall interactive intrusions. But get this, a staggering 185% increase specifically in targeted nation-state activity.
Whoa.
A lot of this is attributed to Russian Nexus adversaries like Primitive Bear and Venomous Bear. It appears to be espionage supporting the conflict in Ukraine, targeting critical infrastructure, sensitive intelligence.
Okay.
Similarly, the telecommunications sector, a 53% increase overall, and a 130% increase in nation-state activity. This was primarily driven by China Nexus adversaries. Why telcos?
Access to telecom networks gives invaluable subscriber data, organizational data, and it can even enable further intrusions against their customers. It's about strategic advantage, pervasive access.
And we shouldn't forget the e-crime targets. Manufacturing up 55%, retail up 41% in interactive intrusions. Curly Spider was a big name there, often using ransomware via Vishing, like you mentioned.
That's right.
Why are these sectors such juicy targets for the financially motivated groups? Is it just the money?
It's definitely about the money, but it's a bit deeper. Manufacturing and retail, their operations incentivize quick ransom payments. Manufacturers can't afford production line delays that's millions per hour.
Right, huge pressure.
And retailers risk losing customer data. Sales, especially during peak seasons, makes them incredibly vulnerable. Plus, these industries often have, let's say, complex, sometimes older systems.
More holes to exploit.
More opportunities, yes. It's like securing an old mansion with a smart lock on the front door, but the back windows are open and maybe the butler's handing out keys. Good analogy. Now, what's fascinating here, the report mentions INRE, ATT, and CK techniques. While defense evasion was most common, 5 of the top 10 were discovery techniques. What does that tell us? Are they becoming more patient?
Absolutely. It indicates adversaries are spending significant time just orienting themselves inside a network, actively trying not to be detected.
Casing the joint.
Exactly. They're not just busting in anymore. They're mapping the environment, evaluating targets, understanding the layout. This detailed recon helps them blend in, plan their next move stealthily. Makes them much harder to spot because their initial actions look, well, normal.
Less brute force, more precision surgery.
You got it.
And just for you, our listener, it's worth noting the report uses specific naming conventions.
Yeah.
Panda usually means China Nexus, Spider is e-crime, Cholima for North Korea or DPRK, and Bear points to Russia. It's helpful shorthand for tracking who's who.
It definitely helps contextualize the threats.
Okay, let's unpack this. Generative AI, huge topic. But how are threat actors actually using it? It's not just sci-fi anymore, right? We're seeing it in the wild.
Oh, very much in the wild. The report clearly shows Gen AI enhances existing methods rather than totally replacing them.
Okay, so it's an amplifier.
Exactly. Its main impact is boosting speed, access to expertise, and the scalability of their operations. It makes malicious activities faster, cheaper, and more effective. An accelerator, an enabler.
Can you give us some specifics? How are they weaponizing Gen AI?
Certainly. First, a big boost in phishing sophistication. Gen AI creates incredibly convincing emails, business email compromise scams, BEC with natural language, contextually aware content, very hard for humans to spot. Charming Kitten, an Iran Nexus group, is noted for likely using AI here. Second, identity generation, crafting entire fake digital personas, supporting profiles, social media activity. This blends into social engineering optimization, developing highly relevant documents, technical materials to get targets to respond. Beyond that, information operations, or I/O, generating deepfakes, multilingual propaganda, credible-looking media websites at scale. Ember Bear, a Russian Nexus group, reportedly financed AI infrastructure for this.
Okay, propaganda machines.
And finally, technical operations get enhanced. Reconnaissance, vulnerability exploitation, even malware advancement. Examples like FunkLocker, SparkCat malware, leverage Gen AI for code or filtering beta to steal. It's a force multiplier across the whole attack chain.
But maybe the most compelling example, I mean, this one really stood out, is famous Cholima, the DPRK Nexus adversary. They're called the most Gen AI proficient adversary, conducting these insidious insider threat ops. It felt like reading a spy novel.
It is truly chilling. In the last 12 months, famous Cholima infiltrated over 320 companies. That's a 220% year-over-year increase.
Incredible. How?
By leveraging Gen AI at every single stage of the hiring and employment process. They use it to draft resumes, create synthetic identities, including altering photos for profiles to bypass screening. But here's the really wild part. They're using real-time deepfake technology to mask their true identities in video interviews.
No way.
Yes. It allows a single operator to interview multiple times for the same role, different personas. Once hired, they use AI code tools to help with job duties, manage multiple jobs at once. It's incredibly efficient, deceptive economic espionage, turning potential employees into covert agents.
That raises a huge question. What about defending against AI, or even protecting the AI tools themselves? Are they becoming a new attack surface?
They absolutely are. As organizations adopt more AI tools, those tools become targets. In April 2025, CrowdStrike saw multiple threat actors exploit a vulnerability CVE 2025-3248 in Langflow AI.
Was Langflow AI?
It's a widely used tool for building AI agents. Attackers use this flaw for unauthenticated remote code execution. They achieved persistence, access credentials, even deployed malware like crypto miners and ransomware.
The tools we use to build AI can be turned against us.
It demonstrates adversaries see AI tools as just part of the infrastructure. Targets, like any server or endpoint.
So, if AI is being weaponized, how are defenders fighting back with AI, beyond just protecting the tools? Is it really an AI versus AI chess match now?
It is, and it's critical. CrowdStrike Overwatch, for instance, leverages AI to basically build a partnership that scales human insight without losing precision.
How does that work?
Well, they use AI to scale operations. It reduces the noise, surfaces the high-confidence signals for human hunters, makes them faster, more precise by cutting through the huge volume of daily alerts.
Okay, filtering the noise.
Right. They also use deep learning. CrowdStrike started this back in 2016 to identify complex behaviors, stuff that would otherwise go unnoticed, subtle patterns indicating stealthy activity.
Finding the needles in the haystack.
Exactly. And critically, they build resilience against AI-enabled adversaries and model poisoning. This is key. Their AI models are trained only on curated, validated data from confirmed threat activity, never scraped from open sources.
Why is that important?
It prevents manipulation or model poisoning, where an adversary tries to trick the AI into misclassifying threats. They constantly retrain the models with human expert validation. It's a closed loop, keeping human expertise in charge of the AI.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the report highlights that adversaries aren't stuck in silos anymore. They're moving across different security domains. So what does cross-domain threat hunting actually mean in practice? What's the challenge?
The big challenge is that adversary activities are now spread out across identity systems, endpoints, cloud environments. This often makes individual actions look benign if you only see them in one place.
So one tool might miss the bigger picture.
Exactly. Traditional EDR, endpoint detection and response, often misses unmanaged hosts like routers or switches, big blind spots. Cross-domain threat hunting is about unifying data from all these sources, identity, endpoint, network, cloud, SaaS apps, to see the full coordinated attack path.
Connecting the dots.
Connecting the dots, seeing the whole picture, not just isolated snapshots.
Let's look at some examples. First, BLOCKADE SPIDER, a sophisticated e-crime group. How did they show this multi-domain approach?
BLOCKADE SPIDER is financially motivated, known for operating across multiple domains. In one case, they got initial access via an unmanaged VPN appliance, then moved laterally to managed systems.
Yeah.
They tried to dump credentials from a Veeam backup database, delete backups, even tried to interfere with the Falcon sensor. When they were challenged, they adapted rapidly. They didn't just give up, they pivoted.
Persistent.
Very. It was cross-domain data from identity sources and a next-gen SIEM, that security information and event management system that proved crucial. It let hunters trace their movements from the compromised VPN account, monitor identity activity, track them as they jumped between unmanaged on-prem systems and cloud environments. Eventually shut them down.
Without that unified view.
They would have just vanished into the noise.
And what about Operator Panda, the China Nexus adversary? How did they leverage these blind spots?
Operator Panda often gets initial access through internet-facing applications like Cisco switches. These are known blind spots, not usually covered by EDR.
Right, network gear.
Exactly. They're skilled at sanitizing logs to hide their tracks and chaining vulnerabilities together. For example, they used one vulnerability to create a local user account, then exploited another vulnerability in a different part of the Cisco Web UI to inject commands with root privileges.
Wow, complex.
It shows their skill in exploiting critical weaknesses in devices that might be overlooked because they're not traditional endpoints. They target the seams between your different security tools.
Okay, next up, identity hunting. We mentioned Vishing and how effective it is, but let's dive deeper. Why is protecting identity such a profound problem?
Identity protection is absolutely a force multiplier because adversaries constantly exploit human vulnerabilities, compromise credentials, social engineering. They use these to bypass traditional security, get initial access, move laterally.
And it's hard to tell friend from foe.
It's incredibly difficult for a single tool to distinguish a legit employee logging in from an adversary using stolen credentials, especially with Vishing convincing someone on the phone to hand over credentials or approve an MFA push.
And those attacks are surging.
Still surging in 2025, already past last year's total. It just emphasizes the critical need for robust identity defenses beyond just passwords.
Let's spotlight Scattered Spider. This e-crime group is known for sophisticated social engineering, credential theft. They came back aggressively in April 2025. What makes them so notorious? What's so alarming?
Scattered Spider has truly mastered help desk social engineering. They impersonate employees, provide accurate employee IDs, sometimes even dates of birth or SSNs to bypass verification.
They had the data already.
Often, yes. Then they trick the help desk into resetting passwords or MFA, multi-factor authentication. That's the critical piece.
Bypassing MFA.
Yes. And crucially, in 2025 incidents, they've accelerated dramatically. They moved from account takeover to ransomware deployment in about 24 hours.
24 hours. That's incredibly fast.
It's significantly faster than their 35.5 hours in 2024 and way down from 85 hours in 2023. This rapid execution is devastating. They also use residential proxies to hide their location and specifically target IT, security staff, C-suite execs.
People with high privileges.
Exactly. They know where the keys to the kingdom are and how to trick someone into handing them over.
So, connecting this back,
Yeah.
how do you even begin to detect an adversary like Scattered Spider moving that fast across so many systems? Sounds like whack-a-mole.
It absolutely requires that multi-domain approach. You have to look beyond just the endpoint. They minimize their footprint there once they have credentials.
Right.
You need to analyze cloud data, suspicious new VM creation, new MFA device additions. Correlate that with identity data showing unusual password resets or logins outside normal hours. A next-gen SIEM is critical. Pulling in VMware logs, identity and access management logs, firewall logs, gives comprehensive visibility into their lateral movement, account takeovers across SaaS apps like SharePoint or OneDrive. It's a complex puzzle. Every piece of data across your environment is essential to track their rapid movement.
Okay, cloud hunting. We know intrusions are up. Who's behind it? How are they doing it specifically? What are the new tricks in the cloud?
China Nexus adversaries like Genesis Panda and Murky Panda are increasingly proficient here. Genesis Panda seems to be an initial access broker targeting diverse sectors. They actively use the cloud control
The
plane,
management layer.
right, for lateral movement, persistence, enumeration, like querying the instance metadata service that internal service cloud instances use for credentials or sensitive info. They even use custom tooling for cloud targeting. Murky Panda is highly sophisticated, primarily abusing trusted relationships. This could mean compromising a supplier's admin access to a victim's Entra ID tenant to add backdoors, or exploiting a third-party app connected to the victim's cloud. They leverage trust to get in.
Clever and devious. Finally, endpoint hunting, but with a twist, the long game adversaries. Sounds like they're not in a hurry. What defines them?
These are patient predators. They prioritize stealth, persistence. Their goal is sustained access, covert data harvesting. They often blend seamlessly into legitimate network traffic for months, even years.
Right.
They might be preparing the environment for future, bigger operations. Makes them incredibly hard to spot because they have a minimal, almost invisible footprint. Masters of hiding in plain sight.
The Glacial Panda case study, also China Nexus, sounds like a perfect example of this long game. What do they do?
It is. Glacial Panda dominates the telco industry, focuses on intelligence collection. They primarily target Linux systems, common in telcos. They use living off the land, LOTL, techniques leveraging common legitimate Linux tools already there.
Blending in.
Exactly. They abuse legitimate user accounts and deploy something called Shield Slide. These are Trojanized open SSH components designed to collect user credentials and provide backdoor access.
So even common tools are weaponized.
Yes. It means they're exceptionally difficult to detect. Their activities often look like normal system or user actions, like a ghost in the machine.
So after hearing about these incredibly agile, well-resourced adversaries, what can actually be done? The report offers critical recommendations, but I imagine they're not simple fixes.
You're right, they're not simple fixes. But the report emphasizes the critical importance of vulnerability hunting, especially given that 52% of observed vulnerabilities in 2024 were related to initial access.
Finding and fixing those entry points before they get exploited.
That's paramount.
And the Graceful Spider zero-day case study involving those Clio data transfer products, it really shows the adversary's resourcefulness. This vulnerability actually bypassed a previous patch for a related flaw. That's chilling.
It's a stark reminder. Adversaries are constantly innovating, actively probing for weaknesses, even in patched systems.
The patching isn't enough on its own.
It's necessary, but not sufficient. But the case also highlights the power of rapid detection and response. CrowdStrike Overwatch detected exploitation of the zero-day within minutes, notified customers, had sensor preventions rolled out within days.
That's fast.
It demonstrates that even when a new vulnerability is exploited, having sophisticated post-exploitation coverage, the ability to detect and stop them after they get initial access is a critical failsafe. It's about how quickly you react once they're inside.
Okay, so to summarize for our listener,
Yeah.
what are the key recommendations from the report? How do we take all this complex info and turn it into actionable protection against these enterprising adversaries?
The report boils it down to several crucial strategies. First, adopt AI-powered solutions. Use agentic AI to scale security ops, triage alerts, free up human analysts for proactive hunting.
Let AI handle the volume.
Right. Second, secure the entire identity ecosystem. That means phishing-resistant MFA, strong password policies, continuous monitoring for anomalies, plus robust user education, crucial against phishing.
Protect the people and the logins.
Third, eliminate cross-domain visibility gaps. Use XDR extended detection and response in next-gen SIEM to unify data across endpoint, network, cloud, identity. See the full attack path.
Connect the dots again.
Exactly. Fourth, defend the cloud as core infrastructure. Use cloud-native application protection platforms or CNAPPs, strict access controls, regular audits. Treat it like your data center.
Got it.
Fifth, prioritize vulnerabilities with an adversary-centric approach. Focus patching on critical internet-facing systems and monitor for exploit-chaining attackers' combined vulnerabilities.
Patch smarter, not just harder.
Precisely. And finally, know the adversary and be prepared. Implement intelligence-driven strategies, run user awareness programs, conduct regular tabletop exercises, red-blue teaming, test your defenses realistically.
Okay, that's a solid list. This deep dive into the CrowdStrike 2025 threat hunting report. It really shows that cyber adversaries are innovating, adapting at an incredible pace. They're not in silos anymore. They're across every layer of our digital lives, cloud identity.
It's no longer about simple attacks. It's sophisticated business-like operations.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oof.
Proactive, intelligence-driven hunting coupled with sophisticated AI-powered tools and that multi-domain defense strategy. It's no longer optional. It's absolutely essential.
You have to anticipate, pivot.
And relentlessly pursue the adversary wherever they try to hide, knowing their tactics, techniques, procedures are evolving in real time.
So here's a final thought for you, our listener. Given this rapid evolution of enterprising adversaries and the increasing sophistication of AI on both sides, how might the very nature of cyber warfare transform even further in the coming years? And what new forms of human-AI collaboration will we actually need to invent to truly stay one step ahead? What stands out to you from today's deep dive?
That's a big question to ponder.
It is. We encourage you to explore these insights further and apply them to your own understanding of cybersecurity.